Yeah, my name is Thomas Abu, and the title of my presentation is Bioactivity-guided fractionation and identification of cytotoxic molecules of Albizia glaberrima stem back. And one of the characteristic differences is the irregular shapes of the healthy cells and the normal cancerous cells as depicted in the picture as shown here. And this is the carcinogenesis. Um, that is how cancer actually metastasis in the body. That is, it replicates in the body, and there are three major processes that is involved in carcinogenesis, and that is initiation. This is where carcinogen, an initiator, enters into the body and then thereby causing DNA damage. And there's proliferation occurs. And if there is no chemoprevention, and then it then leads to uh, promotion and then the progression, which we all refer to as the stage three of cancer. Here you have your angiogenesis occurring. There's migration, there's invasion, and also there's metastasis. And looking at the next slide, we have the global cases of cancers and mortality. Now, looking at the first pie chart, we have the number of new cases. This is year 2020 in both sexes, that is male and female of all ages. And when we look at the breast cancer, we discover that 11.7% of new cases in 2020 was recorded. And also when we look at the lung cancer as well, about 11.4% new cases was recorded in 2020. And then coming to the number of deaths, that is the number of mortality that occurred in 2020 in both sexes and all ages, we discover that for lung cancer, about 18% number of mortality was recorded. And for breast cancer, we can see that 6.9% of mortality was actually recorded. And the next slide shows the cancer risk factors and ways to reduce the cancer risks. We can see here the different cancer risk factors. We have the tobacco smoking, alcohol, excess alcohol, excess body weight, genetics, which of course there are some persons with cancer cases that is traceable to heredity, and unhealthy food, radiation, sun exposure. And what are the ways to reduce this cancer risk? Is by not smoking or use of any form of tobacco. You avoid too much sun. This actually causes skin cancer. And also you make your home smoke-free, reduce indoor and outdoor air pollution, because some of these pollutants are carcinogens. That is, they are capable of causing cancer in the body. And it's also important that we vaccinate our children against hepatitis B and HPV, that is human papilloma virus, because from research we've discovered that human papilloma virus is an oncovirus, that is, it is capable of causing cervical cancer. So once we vaccinate our children, we are also reducing cancer risk occurring in children and the populace. And then it's also important that we take part in organized cancer screening program. This is very important because, we have cases where some persons, are not aware that they have cancer in the body, or probably tumor that is capable of, resulting to cancer. But at the end of the day, once it gets to a type 3 stage, and they begin to see some of these symptoms. And one thing with some of this cancer, they are asymptomatic. That is, some of the symptoms will not even show until when it blows out. And before you know it, it is too late. And that's why it is important that we go to check up, take part in organized cancer screening programs and all that. Then the next slide shows the cancer treatment options. We have the bone marrow transplant, chemotherapy, immunotherapy. These are conventional cancer treatment options. But the bad news as regards this optional treatment is that number one, they are not specific. These agents are not specific, and they also have the tendency to destroy the normal cells. That is, they have low selectivity index, and also with various side effects such as fatigue, problem with mental focusing, heart problems, and early menopause, nerve problems, and it can also result to a second cancer. It can result to another cancer, you know. And then the cost of treatment is also very, very expensive. And coming to the medicinal plants, that's the natural products, various compound drugs have been isolated from medicinal plants, which already have passed the preclinical stages, and they are used in the management of cancer, even in medicine. Now, an example is the paclitaxel. Paclitaxel is a derivative of Taxol that has been isolated from Taxus brevifolia. And I can say, with all confidence and also in literature that this has already been, they've been using it even against cancer management. I mean, against cancer, sorry. Now, this is the experimental methods. Now, the methanol extract of Albizia glaberrima stem back, its partition fractions and subfractions from volume liquid chromatography were screened for cytotoxicity using the branch stream lethality assay and also MTT assay. Now, we screen our samples against rhabdomyosarcoma, breast cancer, cervical cancer, and also the lung cancer cells. And the selectivity index of the active sample was determined using various cells. Now, why is this important? It is important because we've discovered that the conventional drugs, like I said earlier, now it can be treating a particular site in the body while destroying some other sites. So it is important that these samples, these agents, promising agents, are being checked for its selectivity index. If the selectivity index is high, then we can confidently say that it is promising. But if not, then that means it will be toxic to the system, even if it has a higher activity. And then the most active subfraction was subjected to gas chromatography mass spectroscopy, spectrometry, to identify the cytotoxic molecules. And then vincristine and doxorubicin were used as a standard drugs. My next slide. Now, this is just a brief procedure for the MTT assay, and seeding, the cells were seeded and grow an equal number of cells in different ways of microtubule plates, incubate for 20 hours, then treatment was done, MTT was added, and then the optic density values that we got, were measured, and then the results were analyzed. Now, this is just a flow chart of the extraction procedure and then the partitioning that was done on the Albizia glaberrima. And then these are my results. Now, for this slide, this result shows the branch shrimp lethality activities of Albizia glaberrima, the crude extract, and the partition fraction. And from this result, we can see clearly that Albizia glaberrima stem back, which is AGS, has the highest activity, which shows that there's a synergistic effect of this sample, of this agent, crude extract. And then coming to the fractions, the hexane fraction of AGS and the dichloromethane fraction of AGS have the highest and the best activity. And then the next slide shows the percentage inhibition of Albizia glaberrima stem back crude and its partition fraction against 4 panels, that is 4 groups of cancer cells at 10 microgram per ml. That is lung cancer, cervical cancer, breast cancer, and rhabdomyosarcoma cell line. And from this, we can see clearly that the hexane fraction and the distant fraction of AGS had the best activity. And then this slide shows the percentage inhibition of the vacuum liquid chromatography fraction. And from this, we can see that the AGS-H6 and the AGS-D5 had the best activity. And this is showing the IC50, that is the 50% inhibitory concentration of the most active of the sample, which is the Albizia glaberrima stem back crude extract, and then the N-hexane fraction, the DCM fraction, and then the subfraction of the AGSH and the AGSD. And from this, we can see that the AGSH6 had the high C50, that's the inhibitory concentration at 50% against MCF7 to be 0.60, and then rhabdomyosarcoma to be 1.67 compared to the standard with Christine. And then when we look at the Vero, that is the normal cell, we can see that the AGSH6 had 154.9 microgram per mil. And this is a selectivity index of the most active samples and the standard. Now, because of my time, let me just go straight to the one with the highest selectivity index, and that is the AGSH6. Now we can see the selectivity index for MCF7 is 258, and that of the rhabdomyosarcoma cell is 93.88. And from this result, we can see that AGSH6 had the highest selectivity index, which shows promising compared to the vincristine with 0.28 and 0.079, which from this is less than 1. And then that indicates the toxic level of vincristine. Now, this is the chromatogram of the GCMS analysis of the most active subfraction, and not just that, with also having the highest selectivity index. And then this is just the molecules that we identified in the subfraction. And from here, we can see that the decanoic acid methyl ester with retention time of 14.621 had the highest percentage composition, followed by 9-octa-decenoic acid methyl ester with a retention time of 16.3, having a percentage composition of 20.023. And these are the structures of molecules that were identified in the subfraction. And in summary, the crude extract of Albizia glaberrima shows significant cytotoxic activities, and as well, the hexane fraction of this same crude extract also indicates cytotoxic activity. And likewise, the AGSH6, or that is the VOC fraction of Albizia glaberrima, indicates the cytotoxic activity. And then they identify molecules such as the hexadecenoic acid methyl ester, and methylstearate have shown to exhibit anti-cancer potential from literature, according to Gupta et al. 2023. And these molecules, I can confidently say, were identified at the first time, for the first time in Albizia glaberrima stem back after intensive literature search. And in conclusion, these activities, the relatively high selectivity and the molecules identified from the Albizia glaberrima stem back have revealed that it could be a potent source of novel anti-cancer agents. And I just want to acknowledge the Royal Society of Chemistry for funding this conference, and as well appreciate the Department of Pharmacognosy, Faculty of Pharmacy, and the World Health Organization Polio Laboratory, Department of Virology, College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, and also the Phytomedicine Research Group of the Department of Pharmacognosy, where I belong to. Thank you for listening, and these are my selected references. Thank you very much.